Hello viewers, welcome to our next episode of Sandy Wars. Today we are back on the LAC with China. Things have been again becoming interesting and newsworthy. So today we have with us a very esteemed panel. We have our old participant who has been with us a number of times, Brigadier R.J. Dhillon retired. And today we also have Major General Sudhakarji retired, who is a new joinee in our program. Both of them have worked the LAC in Eastern Ladakh. As we know, the Brigadier Dhillon has actually taken foot patrols right from KKP, from Karakoram Pass downwards to Galwan. And Major General Sudhakarji had actually commanded 3 division, which looks after that part of the LAC, and he too has gone to Galwan Nala. So both of them are eminently qualified to speak on this. We are coming back to Galwan today for a specific reason, which you will get to know once we get into the discussion proper. So first of all, sir, welcome to both of you. Welcome on behalf of our viewers and India Sentinels and Sandy Wars.
Thank you,
Let
Sandeep.
us first agree that there is an issue at Galwan, sir. A lot of confusion regarding that. I would request both of you gentlemen to confirm whether do we have an issue with China and the PLA at Galwan, sir. General Sudhakarji.
Well, firstly, Sandeep, thank you very much for having invited me to this medium of interaction from India Sentinel side. And compliments to you. I have read a lot of products produced by you in the past. It's a yeoman service and a remarkable, eye-opening kind of revelation. Almost 99% of your products. And I must also, I'm very fortunate to be in this panel with a very reputed and established soldier, Brigadier Dhillon. And today only I was going through the article written by Mr. Sandeep on the account of the operations in Maldives, which not many of us know. I have read a lot about Operation Maldives. I have dealt with Maldives when I was in MO, but I would request Brigadier Dhillon, sir, that the story doesn't appear to be like a story. It's like a movie unfolding. So go ahead, get a movie shot. Filming will be an appropriate medium to popularize and take it down to the citizens. Now the issue, though, coming to the moot question, Galwan. Before I answer your question, Sandeep, we need to be clear about certain things. Much water has flown down the Shok, and I'll try to limit myself to 3 minutes and get back to you so that Brigadier Dhillon, being a senior veteran, he will be able to enlighten all of us and the viewers. You see, the geography of Eastern Ladakh has to be understood from the perspective of diversity. When I say diversity, we need to understand the complete stretch of 832 kilometers of Eastern Ladakh, starting from Karakoram Pass to DBO, and from DBO as you come down the Y junction to Mogo, Butse, and from Butse further you roll down to kilometer 148 and come to 120. Thereafter go to kilometer 56, then to Shok village, then to Durbuk. This has to be under this particular stretch of 256 kilometers, where the road has come up now, has to be understood for better understanding of the issue regarding Galwan. This stretch of 256 kilometers can be very distinctively divided into three different pieces of geographies. First and foremost is the DBO. DBO is the altitude is anything between 16,000 to 17,744 feet. It's a tabletop, it's a kind of a plateau, an extension of a plateau, rolling from, extending from Tibet side towards Sasella.
That is Daulat Beg Oldie, sir. Just for the
Yes, yes,
information of our viewers,
correct.
that's Daulat Beg Oldie.
And it is surrounded, it is not classical, like you see, people don't understand. We very glibly make statements, McMahon line in the eastern sector. They also perceive that similar kind of contiguous mountainous feature will be there to demarcate some degree of a mountain. Until you go to the line of McCartney line of mountains, you will not find any feature which is contiguous to each other. These are all broken hills, separate hills. I am sure Brigadier Dhillon will bear me out. However, this stretch of 38 by 20 odd kilometers of DVO is a tabletop, flat, rolling ground and undulating ground, which is tankable. Okay. Plus, it is interspersed with high isolated features. In army parlance, we call them as knolls. KNOLLS. Knolls, single isolated features. In between, you have wide valley sort of thing. There is a prominent nala there, which is called a Chipchap Nala towards the north of Dibio. Ahead of Dibio towards the north, as we go along the map towards the crown of India. Along this Chipchap Nala, those of us who are conversant with the history of 1962, Chinese had chosen Chipchap Nala to progress their offensive in 1962. And on the banks, on the northern bank of Chipchap Nala, close to the so-called LSE, was a post which is called as PP5. This is the first point in this sector where Chinese had contacted the army position. As you are coming down, this is the distance of 38 by 20 odd kilometers. Roughly, I am not saying I have not taken a tape and measured. This is roughly by just putting your fingers or something on the map and measuring. Thereafter, as you are coming down from DBO side, there is a prominent Y junction. And from the Y junction, you are rolling down to Mogo and Butse. There starts, as you are coming down from Y junction, starts the mountainous sector. When I say mountainous sector, this stretch is right up to kilometer 1, up to, I would say, kilometer 120, kilometer 96. It's a distance of almost about 75 odd kilometers, where you have 75 to 100 odd kilometers. This is a stretch of mountainous stress. Now, when I say it is a mountainous terrain, what it means or implies is that much of these areas is covered with deep gorges. There are not hills, there are mountains. The ranges, the altitude of these mountains is above 16,000 feet, 17,000. Some of them reach up to 18,000. But the face or the side of these mountains are very, very steep. They are like gorge. In between, they have narrow nalas. Numerous nalas they come and converge or join with a prominent nala, which is called a Galwan Nala. Now, in the year 1993, when the China study group had applied themselves, they had come up with 65 points along so as to depict some kind of a notional boundary to enable efficient domination and patrolling by our own patrols. These points that start from west of Karakoram Pass, PP1, 2, 3, 4, like this, and continue right up to Chumar till 50, 55. There are 65 such points. Each of these points are depicted with the help of 10-figure grid reference. Now, PP14 is located at a place where it forms a kink like this, cone. As you go from here to the left-hand side or the left portion of the Y prong of the cone, it takes you around 42 kilometers northeast of PP14. Is a place called as Old Galwan Post. Brigadier Dhillon would have footed it myself, I'm very sure, knowing him as a professional hardcore paratrooper. Old Galwan Post is the post where 1962 operation had started.
The 5-Jat post.
5-Jat company, correct, where General Hassanif's father was the company commander. General Hassanif's father, he was the company commander. And further, rescue reinforcement went in, then the Gorkhas went in there subsequently. So I'll not digress, but I'm trying to bring home the point, some light on the geography so that there is an understanding. From PP14.
Sir, just for a moment, sir, just to put the records straight. First, the Gorkhas had gone, they were evacuated, and then 5-Jat replaced them.
Sorry, I stand corrected. Okay, sequencing, chronology, I was wrong. Gorkhas Yes, they were there, evacuated. 5 Jat company had gone there. Yes,
So
you're
they
correct.
were surrounded. Gorkhas were surrounded in
Yes,
July.
yes.
And
I
then
am
five.
sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe I've been overtaken by events today, so I'm losing sequence. So do apologize. Okay, so 42 kilometers, it takes you to that old Galwan post where the initial contact of 62 operation had taken place. That is, it goes this way, east to northeast of PP14. Now from PP14, you go this way, there is, takes you to Galwan post, and there is a zigzag kind of a points. PP13 comes in between, and PP13, PP12, PP11. Now 11, 10, 11, 12, they are opposite a post known as Burtse. Burtac. Burtse is between Y Junction, Mogo, between Mogo, kilometer 148. Okay. So opposite Burtse, there are these PP locations, but to go to these PPs 10, 11, 12, we have to go through a very narrow point because of the mountain ranges coming and converging. That point is known as bottleneck. Now, in earlier times, when the troop density was less, it must have been during the time of Brigadier Diller, because by and by the troop density has gone up. Once upon a time, there used to be a company of Ladakh scouts, Jakalai militia, one company looking after Dibio or Karakoram side, one looking after Demchok side. But by and by, thereafter, one battalion came to Chusul. So the strength has gone up. Now the strength is so much, we have ITBP presence at Burtse. We also have regular troops. To go to PP 10, 11, 12, we have to cross this bottleneck, which is at a distance of approximately 7.5 kilometers from Burtse. Why am I saying Burtse? Because Burtse is right bang on the road of Dibio and Durbuk, if you're coming from Dibio side. Okay,
so the bottleneck you are referring to, that's the road to Raki Nala, right? That's where Raki Nala means.
Yeah, Raki Nala is actually Raki Nala is the Nala, name of the Nala which cuts across the bottleneck. That is the name of the Nala. You have to go across Raki Nala to go to PP 10, 11, 12.
And
okay,
you have to go via Jivan Nala for 13. Like you were saying, if you go south,
Jivan Nala is 10, 11, 12. Thereafter 13 is this side. And we had also found out a shortcut to go to PP13 during my time. There is a ridge. You go across ridge. Earlier it used to take us 9 hours, but if you go across the ridge, take a shortcut, cross Jivan Nala, we used to reach in just about 5.5 to 6 hours time.
Till when have you patrolled this? I mean, your troops have patrolled there. Till when? Till which year?
I was GOC till 17th April. I came back. 8th of April. Till I was GOC, we have always gone across.
Which year, sir?
2016-17.
So 2017 till 16-17 April, you have your people have gone via the Jivan Nala to PP.
Yes, of course. I have gone across the bottleneck.
This is, I would like to put this on record. Major General Sudhakar ji, who was CDF commander, is the best person to certify this with all authority that till 2017 April, our troops have on foot patrolled till PP 13 in the south via Jivan Nala. They had found a shortcut, and till in the north till PP 9, right?
10, 11, 12.
10, 11.
If you remember, I've been maintaining all along that this legacy issue which people are trying to throw into the air is a red herring, it's nonsense. What the general said is very correct. We were dominating that area, we are patrolling that area. This is all nonsense that from 13 or something we are not being allowed to patrol out there. That bakwas.
ये अव्वल नंबर का ये असल ये बात है कि हम वहां पे 2013 के बाद पेट्रोल नहीं कर सके। बहुत जनरल सुधाकर जी उनको पहले पुराने जमाने में जब ब्रिगेडियर धिलोन साहब जाते थे, ये खुद और इनके नीचे के ट्रूप्स वो एरिया पेट्रोल करके आए हैं। वो भारत के इंडिया के पेट्रोलिंग रेंज में था, बकायदा पेट्रोलिंग रेंज में था फिजिकली।
Yes, let me further reinforce. I am a person, I don't open my mouth. This is for the first time I am getting conversant with the media. Let me tell you, I am a die-hard soldier, as die-hard as Brigadier Dhillon is. I have gone across bottleneck. If you come to my home, I'll show you pictures. I'll show you pictures how Chinese. Yes, the resistance phase has started from Chinese side during that phase. They never could actually endure the cold. They are very, very weak in sustaining themselves in high altitude. They cannot bear the severity of chilblain and frostbite. Their mental endurance is very weak and poor. They have started resisting our move. In the year 2016, PP13, there is a hut which came up suddenly between 15 and 16. And instead of staying at the hut, they dare to come ahead of the hut to stop our PP. But fortunately, there was a gap, intersect gap between the PP location and we used to call it as a yellow hut, if I remember. PP13 is to be called as a yellow hut. Brigadier Dhillon के time में नहीं होगा, ये मेरे time में बना था. Okay. Now, second thing I don't want to disclose. The people will get alarmed. They had constructed something there at PP11. This was in the year 1516. There was a surveillance tower. One Garhwal battalion had gone right up to that point. It was a night operation. Okay. And they had demolished this structure in one night operation and come back. Chinese were shocked and surprised. They had also done a quick kind of a quid pro quo. We also launched a quick quid pro quo by demolishing it, so as to dominate and deny their ingress into our area. We have very much dominated. There is no fabrication in national security. Either it is there or it is not there.
Thanks a lot, sir. बहुत शुक्रिया देश आपके शुक्रगुजार हैं that you have actually put this on record, sir. Now let's come to Galwan, sir. Our audience will be extremely interested after hearing this about the Galwan history. What actually happened there? Sir, okay. Before you, sir, just 1 second, sir. Before you tell us about your latest, about your inputs about the latest incident in Galwan last year, I'll have to bring Brigadier Dhillon in, who had actually taken a foot patrol to Galwan, up Galwan Nala to PP14, what is called PP14 now. In his days, it was the limit of RP patrolling line. What did you see there, sir? Brigadier Dhillon, sir, what did you see there?
Okay, you see, that time you have to understand, as the general very rightly pointed out, the total presence we had in subsector north used to be 2 companies of Ladakh Scout in summer and 1 in winter, 10 to 1 in winter, and a company or maybe 2 companies of the ITBP with presence of the thing called the ITBF, right? Correct. And the string of patrolling points had not come up that time. That time there was a line drawn on the map called the limit of army patrolling, right? By and large, this line of PPs has come up along that limit only, by and large, right? But that line at that time was depicted as the limit of army patrolling. This was after the Colombo Agreement, when the Chinese withdrew unilaterally, and they said, okay, but this area, Fauji patrols will not go. So what we were doing was, we were using the ambiguity status of the Ladakh Scouts to very good effect by sending them in, because they thought that they are a militia, right? Which they were initially, right? Let alone them, even half of the Indian Army also never realized that they are a regular regiment of the Indian Army. They also think it's a PM or something like that.
The Ladakh Scouts, right? The Ladakh Scouts ki baat kar rahe hain.
That's what Ladakh Scouts. And elements of ITBP used to go in, but there was a fair amount of reluctance on the part of the ITBP to go in. Fair amount of sources used to be run in through the Raki and the Jeevan Nala from Burse by the ITBF for int work. Now, this was as far as that was concerned. Directly from the Div headquarters, tasking would be occasionally done specifically for specific tasks. Like in my particular case, I was specifically tasked by General Somana, who was that time with GOC. First one was to find a likely OP site in the area of Dipsang Plains as far forward as possible. Right? Second one was this patrol, which was to go into the Galwan. Now, what has to be remembered is that our Galwan post of 62 was not maintained from the Shok side. It was from the other side. Go too far away. So here, at that time, the Chinese are also not very much interested in this portion of it. So we had no face-off out here, unlike say what would happen in on the Karakoram Pass itself. Now that was the second thing which has to be kept in mind. And the next thing which has to be kept in mind is that this thing of moving in and out there, that time was not that important, but now is vitally important because the Galwan gives the Chinese a means of segmentizing the battlefield. You segmentize from the rest of Ladakh, Tepsang and Dolls Begoldi totally by moving in elements through it. That is the reason why they have moved in with so much of force level into it. That's the reason why they have put in the road that far ahead. That it becomes an axis of attack. That's it.
So what was your experience of when you took the patrol up to PP, what is called PP14 now? What did you see? Where was the LAC vis-a-vis PP, that PP14 point?
Okay. You see, LAC was way beyond. LAC was way beyond. So that time, as I told you, we just had that limit of army patrolling laid down. We went slightly ahead of that, definitely. It was crisscrossing through the valley. There was that time, by the time the water level in the Galwan had receded, so you could afford to crisscross. The sides were steep initially. Later on, when we came to the place which is now referred to generally as the PP14 or the clash point or whatever it's called, there it opened up a little bit. It opened up, and there it was feasible that you could clamber up onto the sides on both sides if you wanted, and to put in, say, if you want to put in posts or pickets or sangars upstairs there, you could do that. But that time it was not of that importance as such.
So, sir, now let us bring our viewers to what actually happened. In June 2020 in Galwan, the first time our viewers or anyone in India would be hearing an astonishing account from Major General Sudhakar about what actually happened, how the Chinese came in. Sir.
Well, Sandeep, this also is a second-hand account because by virtue of I not being there physically, since I was colonel of the regiment of one of my battalions, which happened to be there in the thick and thin of it. So that's how I know. And I have stitched up the narrative and it may appear to be coherent. But most important is what Brigadier Dhillon just brought out. You see, during his time, Shok, do you know that in the entire Indian Army, there is only one place where summer stocking is done? That summer stocking is in SSN. We all have heard about winter stocking at different places, but summer stocking is to go on in SSN because SSN is to get cut off by the Shok River. Meaning, what it means is that Shok could not be crossed during summer season. We used to put in all kinds of heavy vehicles. They used to get stuck. Retrieving heavy vehicles from Shok is to a big challenge. So why am I bringing up this point is in good old days, the crossing places across Shok used to be only during winter when the water froze. We could go across on foot. But during summer, everything is to melt and it is to be absolutely very, very strong currents in the river. But by and by, over past, I would say 15, 20 years, a lot of bridging effort has come in. Shok village itself did not have a bridge. The bridge came up there as early as 2000. The road construction started, stopped. Dibir, Durbuk, it stopped nearly 3 times. I am not praising any government. We are political people, but the present dispensation at the center has gone extra mile to push it hard and nice and properly. That is how the road has come up. So what he is bringing out is that maintenance of the Galwan, old Galwan post, which I indicated 42 kilometers east-northeast of the Galwan Nala of PP14, is to be maintained through a place known as Marsi Mikla. Marsi Mikla, in our time, we used to be told Khardungla is the highest motorable pass. Okay. By and by, the world record has taken cognizance of Marsi Mikla It is the highest motorable pass today in the world. Across Marsimikla feature, when you have, the other day you were mentioning Sandeep Anekla and all, then you go to Soksalu sector. You go to the sector of Gogra, Hot Spring, Konkala. Konkala is the point where the CRPF had the first encounter with the Chinese, way back in 1959. Then it takes you along a very wide valley up to a point known as PP16, and beyond PP16 is PP15, and ahead of that is the Galwan post. So the maintenance is to go ahead, or is to be done through Lukong, Tangongso, the Western Bank, Marsimikala, and through this. Now I'll click straight to the point which you are asking. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and our viewers, whatever I have learned, I'll try and share that with you.
थोड़ा बीच बीच में हिंदी में भी सर, ताकि हमारे ऑडियंस, वाइड ऑडियंस समझ सके। बीच बीच
देखिए, ये पूरा जो नैरेटिव है, ये 5 मई 2020 की नैरेटिव है। 5 मई 2020 की नैरेटिव में, तो ये सुबह सुबह उस समय कोई एक विजिट हो रहा था उस सेक्टर में, तो किलोमीटर 120 के आसपास देखा गया कि चाइना के 2 हेलीकॉप्टर्स, ये मी-17 वैरायटी हेलीकॉप्टर्स, ब्लैक इन कलर, गलवान नाला से अंदर से होते हुए बाहर की तरफ, मतलब किलोमीटर 120 की तरफ आए, और वहीं पे सामने से घूम के फिर वापस चले गए गलवान नाला होते हुए। तो उनका पीछा करते हुए हमारा एक हेलीकॉप्टर गया था, जाके देखा कि जब PP14 हम जिसको कहते हैं, उसके आगे करीब 7 किलोमीटर पीछे तक उनका रोड हेड हुआ करता था। उस सेक्टर में रोड बनाना बहुत मुश्किल है, अर्थ मूविंग प्लांट्स को मूव कराना बड़ा मुश्किल है, तो वहां पे उनका रोड कनेक्शन नहीं हुआ था। तो ये जो हेलीकॉप्टर 1 या 2 सीक्वेंस में गए होंगे, या एक करके बाद में गए होंगे, जब खबर आके वापस दिया तब पता चला कि चाइना या PLA का एक पेट्रोल आ रखा है करीब 30-35 के नंबर में। तब तक हमारा
मैं थोड़ा सा क्लैरिफाई करूं, उनके 2 हेलीकॉप्टर्स हमारे साइड में आए थे,
हमारे साइड में, जो भी किलोमीटर 120 के आसपास आके वापस चले गए।
वो किलोमीटर 120 तक, मतलब श्योर क्रॉस करके आ गए थे।
ये ऑफ लेट दे हैव बीन कमिंग, बिकॉज़ दे क्लेम राइट अप टू बुटसे एंड द लाइन जॉइनिंग बुटसे किलोमीटर 120। वो तो कहता है आपका कुछ है ही नहीं। श्योक नदी में उनका है, कभी कभी ऐसा ही उनका दिमाग में घुस जाता है। तो यू हैव टू एक्चुअली,
दो ब्लैक कलर के हेलीकॉप्टर, व्हाट मॉडल्स वर दे सर, व्हाट मेक दोस हेलीकॉप्टर्स?
आई थिंक इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, ये J7 वैरायटी होंगे ब्रिगेडियर ढिल्लों सर।
So they came up to kilometer 120.
It's a Mi-17 clone probably.
Mi-17
clones.
हाँ,
okay.
तो Mi-17 का कैपेबिलिटी अगर आप देखोगे हाई एल्टीट्यूड में, ये ज्यादा नफरी लेके नहीं आ सकता 14,000 फुट पे। तो मैं शुरू में यही सोचा था कि शायद ये हेलीकॉप्टर से आके उतार दिए होंगे, या हो सकता है कुछ 2-4 किलोमीटर पीछे जहाँ पे एक फ्लैट ग्राउंड है वहां पे उतार दिए होंगे। तो व्यूअर्स को ये समझना पड़ेगा कि किलोमीटर या PP14 जहां पे जिस जगह हम कहते हैं, वहां से 7-8 किलोमीटर चाइना की तरफ उनका रोड हेड था, रोड बना नहीं था। ये तब की हालत है जब हमारे तरफ से उनका रोड, इस सेक्टर में इनकी रोड की जो प्रोग्रेस है, क्योंकि ये कहानी जब तक मैं नहीं सुनाऊंगा तब तक पूरा पर्सपेक्टिव समझ में नहीं आएगा। एक समय था जब DBO दुर्गुप्त का रोड नहीं था, जब ये पुलिया नहीं था 148 पे, जब किलोमीटर 120 के पास ब्रिज जो बना है वो नहीं था, किलोमीटर 120 के आगे स्टेजिंग पॉइंट और गलवान नाला के बीच में से मैं गया हूँ, गर्दन तक पानी, ठंडा पानी, उसमें जाया नहीं जाता। मैं मुश्किल से 1 किलोमीटर जाके वापस आ गया, मेरे को हाइपोथर्मिया होना। ये जून के महीने में पानी इतना फ्रोजन कोल्ड होता है, बहुत पानी होता है, ठंडा पानी होता है। तो वो जो गलवान नाला है वो स्ट्रेच है करीब 6-7 किलोमीटर, इसके ऊपर भी कोई सारे ब्रिज बन चुके हैं। हिंदुस्तान का इतना रैपिड प्रोग्रेस, ये शायद देख के मुझे लग रहा है चाइनीज ऑल्सो हैव टेकन बाय सरप्राइज एंड दे वर शॉक्ड टू सी आवर प्रोग्रेस इन दिस सेक्टर। वी हैव नॉट डन एनीथिंग रॉन्ग, we have only done infrastructure development which was supposed to have been done prior in the historic timeline. Whereas China woke up, got a shock in their life कि भाई उनका 7-8 किलोमीटर पीछे है, ये लोग कैसे आ गए? ये मेरे मन में प्रश्न आ रहा है। मैं जब सुनने के बाद अपना जो नैरेटिव बना, अभी एक आर्टिकल लिखने जा रहा हूं मैं, यही इन्हीं चीजों को मैं सामने लगा रहा हूं, so as to stitch up the narrative, क्योंकि ये प्रश्न सबके दिमाग में आ रहा है, हुआ क्या? तो पहला प्रश्न यह है कि हिंदुस्तान चाइना को बढ़ चढ़ के कैसे आगे जा सकता है रोड बिल्डिंग में। 120 के पास ब्रिज बनाने के लिए हम उससे पहले 7 साल पहले से लगे हुए थे, लेकिन वो करने नहीं दे रहा। जब भी हम सामान लेके इकट्ठा करते थे, उसका हेलीकॉप्टर आके प्रोटेस्ट नोट वो लॉन्च करता था, कभी नहीं देगा कि 120 में आपका ये हो रहा है, बंद करो। बट इसके बावजूद भी वहां पे ब्रिज बनाया गया। ये हमारा इंडियन आर्मी के जो इंजीनियर्स है उनको कॉम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहिए, वहां पे जो ग्राउंड ट्रूप्स है उनको मुबारकबाद देना चाहिए, वहां पे जो कमांडर्स है ऑन ग्राउंड, दे नीड टू बी गिवन अ पैट, बिकॉज वहां पे वो करने नहीं रहता है। इट इज एब्सोल्युटली ओपन। ये तो हम कह रहे हैं हवाई जहाज की बात, वहां पे उनकी ड्रोन्स भी काफी और लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट के सैटेलाइट भी घूमते रहते हैं। ये जो कोंकाला जगह है, काफी लोगों को बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग लगेगा सुन के, जहां से लोग कहते हैं ना सैटेलाइट्स ऊपर से आके नीचे जमीन के नीचे छुप जाते हैं, ये वो जगह है, हिडन सैटेलाइट स्टेशन, अर्थ में एक ही है, ये यहीं पे है कोंकाला में।
So let us bring this back, sir. So they, on 5th of May, their 2 helicopters came up to 120 kilometers.
They came up to 120. They went back. उसको pursue करते हुए our helicopters went. Thereafter another helicopter went. By then one of our patrol had already come up to PP14. Then they spotted when they were coming up to PP14, they saw their patrol coming up, and that is where the tussle started.
Our patrol, sir, ये कौन सी unit था?
ये
not 16 बिहार। अच्छा,
ना 16 बिहार तो बाद में आई। ये तो पहले 16 बिहार एक पलटन थी जो एसएस हमारा जो सब सेक्टर नॉर्थ है वहां पे डिप्लॉयमेंट करके टेन्योर पूरा करके वो डी इंडक्ट हो रही थी, वापिस आ रही थी। क्योंकि ये जो सारे चीजें इकट्ठे, सबको हर चीज, यही तो लड़ाई का जो मेन जो डेफिशिएंसी है, हर चीज एक ही प्लाटर या एक कागज के ऊपर पूरा पिक्चर बना के कोई नहीं दे सकता है। धीरे धीरे पीसफुल मेथड में आता है, उसको जोड़ के फिर कहानी बनाया जाता है, फिर अंदाज लगाते हैं, फिर उसका स्टेप्स लिया जाता है।
तो 16 बिहार लाने से पहले कोई दूसरी पलटन, उनकी पेट्रोल, some other unit sent a patrol to PP14 to see on the ground what's happening, right?
Yeah, they were there. Their task was to dominate that particular stretch. There is a Pulton which looks after this particular stretch. They had gone up to that point. When they went closer to PP14, they found the PLA patrol had already come up to PP14. Then they came and registered, why are you here? So our troops said, this is PP14, why are you there? Why have you come to our side? So that is where the tussle started initially. Okay, and thereafter they went back, they disengaged. When the disengagement had taken place, sometime in the middle of the night or maybe next day, the strength from our side, the strength had come up. Initially, we started with 20-30 people. Thereafter, our strength had built up. They also had built up their strength to 100, 150. In whatever
so initially, 35 people came from initially.
Around 30 people, around 30s. Some of them suspect कि it may have been a heliborne operation, but मेरे अंदाज से मैं मानता नहीं हूँ, क्योंकि इस सेक्टर में he will bear me out, Brigadier Dhillon, he is a paratrooper. हाई अल्टीट्यूड में ये Mi-17 वैरायटी हेलीकॉप्टर का लिफ्टिंग कैपेसिटी बहुत कम हो जाता है। नॉर्मल ये में आप ले सकते हो 16-18 जवान इन द मीन सी लेवल, बट एज यू गेन हाइट the troop lifting capability reduces to 4 to 6 men. Do correct me if I am wrong, sir.
You're right, sir. Especially with the safety which is laden.
Yeah, safety which is laden. तो मेरे ख्याल से ये पैरा हेलीबॉर्न ऑपरेशन करना बहुत असंभव है। ये लोग आके के पीछे उतरे होंगे, अगर हेलीकॉप्टर से आए हैं या गाड़ी से आके फिर पैदल चले होंगे, आके पहुंचे होंगे उनके ये में। इनको पता चल गया होगा थ्रू सैटेलाइट या अलग माध्यम से कि ये हमने ब्रिज बना दिया है, रोड बना दिए हैं, गलवा नाला के ऊपर छोटे छोटे कलवर्ट और ब्रिज बने हुए हैं। और ये ब्रिज छोटा मोटा नहीं है संदीप जी, ये ब्रिज के ऊपर हम बड़े गाड़ी ले जा सकते हैं। ये जो बोलते हैं ना 2.5 टन ALS, ये जा सकते हैं। तो ये चीजें हम कहते नहीं है, चर्चा नहीं करते क्योंकि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का नाजुक इशू है।
सर सुधाकर जी, इस शायक एस्चुरी जो है, वेयर गलवान मीट शायक, the base point from where you go in up Galwan River towards PP14, is that also fordable? Has that been forded with a bridge or something?
Yeah, that is the bridge I'm talking of. This bridge was non-existent earlier.
There is a bridge on Shayak estuary, right?
Yeah,
bridge on Shayak estuary.
This bridge was difficult to be constructed, but despite all challenges, this bridge has been made by our engineers. That is where I'm saying the sappers, they need to be complimented. It's a very great daring act, not only by them, even by the infantry soldiers who have supported them during night. Because वहां पे troop build up और resource build up day time में नहीं हो सकता है. ये रात को किया जाता है altitude. बहुत मुश्किल है.
So उनके 30-35 बंदे आए, then our people went, हमारी पलटन जो थी in May, and then their people went back. After that, what happened, sir?
No, nobody has. They have pulled back a little bit by 100, 200, 300 meters from the respective point where they come in contact with each other. Thereafter, they have pulled back to up to some limit. But then our party had left a OP. This OP had some means of communication, little away from PP14, just to keep an eye. जो बोल के गए कहीं वो वापस तो नहीं आ रहे हैं. So by the time our patrol was fetching back, this OP reported, सर उनका पेट्रोल 30 नहीं, अभी तो 100-150 की नफरी में आ रहे हैं. So by then our petrol was also building up, anticipating ये तो कुछ होने जा रहा है. ठीक है नहीं. So ये जब हो रहा था तो फिर आगे जाके मुठभेड़ हुई है. Some of them were injured.
This was the June incident. This was the 16 Bihar.
May. I am saying this was the incident of May 2000.
Oh, so before June also there was some
yes.
some casualty.
जून में जो हुआ, it is with 16 बिहार. 16 बिहार से पहले ये एक इंसिडेंट था जिससे इंडिकेशंस आ गए थे कि कुछ हो रहा है, कुछ होने जा रहा है. That is how the troop build-up started taking place. Okay. But we are in a big advantageous position. We have a bridge to cross Shyok River at kilometer 120. We have a huge bridge at kilometer 148. We have a track which has been built across Shyok estuary along the Galwan Nala right up to PP14. PP14 तो नहीं है. A few, maybe maximum 600-700 meters short of PP14. Okay. And the road track is built, and there are intervening, what do you call them, culverts or the bridges, short bridges, which are built over which our vehicles also can ply.
Sir, एक बात बताइए. Okay, so this happened in May. So before the June incident, which you all know, which the nation knows, you have brought to us, sir. Thanks a lot about the build-up. What actually happened? मेरा प्रश्न ये है to Brigadier Dhillon. Sir, what is to be done now? Now you have General Sudhakar, you are here. I know both of your viewpoints through my personal conversations with you about what is to be done. What is the road ahead in Galwan? I am talking of only in the Galwan Nala area. आप बताएं sir, Brigadier Dhillon sir.
See, Galwan, you have to appreciate it in militarily. What is their objective in Galwan? Why are they sensitive about it? The answer comes in that it gives them a going artillery to bring in a force level to segmentize the battlefield. With that, what happens is our Dipsang, DBO gets cut off on one side. This side, there's a separate issue which we can deal with in detail and do another segmentation somewhere ahead, and so divide the whole front of his in at least 3, if not 4 parts. Now, if that is his endeavor, then what we have to do now is that we have to make sure that he doesn't get to debouch into the Shyok. How do we stop him? It's very simple. It's simple infantryman's thing. Take the commanding heights.
Where? Commanding heights where?
Okay. Now, commanding heights where? Right now, we are sitting in the Shyok riverbed. Okay. There, if you look up towards the Galwan, both sides of the Galwan River, there is a first ridgeline. Then you go slightly ahead, there's another ridgeline. At least the first ridgeline has to be held by us. We hold it. No force worth effort can debouch on into the Shyok plain. It will have to have integral AD resources. It will have to have integral soft vehicle and light armored vehicle busting.
AD resources were air defense resources. AD matlab air defense resources.
Okay. That's right.
And
Right?
what kind of strength should it be held with? That first ridge
No,
line.
I wouldn't be in a position to say that now, because that the commander on the spot would be the best person to decide, because he knows what he's got in his kit bag, right? He knows how much he can afford to put in the shop window up there, right? All I can say is that it has to be substantial, that it's not something which they can knock off with a concentrated artillery or a missile barrage to open up the thing. The mouth has to be sealed. That is very important.
How
Because
will
if you
that be maintained under combat conditions? How will that be
sorry,
maintained in combat conditions? I said, how will that post be
okay,
maintained?
just a minute. I'll come to that. All these places, it is a human back, right? To whatever level, if you get a ledge or somewhere where your choppers can undersling in nets and all stuff, they will do that. But otherwise, when it push comes to shove, it is the human back which will have fighting porters. They will have to do the job.
Sir, will the choppers be vulnerable to the enemy AD?
No, no, not that much. You see, you have to keep in mind that there is a fair amount of ground clutter. They got a fair amount of folds of the ground, ridge lines, and all that. So you can use them to have safe passage. Pop up, do your job, pop down, and off. The Pakis have done that with us. We have done it also around. It's not something out of the world. It can be done.
So why I am worried, sir? Because like we were discussing in 62 on Sandhar, of course, there things were para-drop. We lost 50%,
Yes.
on a mountain.
You see, that is the silly stuff which we keep doing on Siachen also. We use helicopters would drop things by parachute, which is silly, right? That sort of thing will not do. Helicopters are meant to land stuff. If they don't have to land themselves. They can have a net. There's a cargo net. The cargo net, the moment the cargo net touches a particular place, he releases the cargo net. He flies off. Later on, the cargo net is retrieved and sent back for recycling.
Sir, let me put a dampener, sir. Let me put a spanner to both of you gentlemen in this grand plan. Sir, Shiok estuary with the bridge and our OPs and our forward pickets in Galwan Valley would all become unmaintainable and vulnerable. If the if you come towards, like you were saying, PP 15, 16, 17, Alpha Post, Changchenmo, Pugran Valley, if that is cut off, and in fact 40 square kilometers in the Pugram Valley, we have only one ingress now, and that ingress is also under threat. Only one ingress. For the entire, I think it's 5 by 8. Sorry, I'm sorry. That's 100 square kilometers. 20 by 5. 20. I'm sorry, 200 square kilometers. That's 5 by 40.
I'll put it in perspective straight away. Firstly, we because we were not actually not discussing about program and things like that, so that's the reason why we didn't bring it on the table. Number two, as far as the Shok Chalu bend is concerned now, it has got two approaches now. It's not only the classic approach starting from Darbuk along and all. There's also another approach which is the one which is from which goes towards the Siachen Glacier. Then from Sasoma it moves up towards Umlung, right? Goes across the Saserla, all right? That I would presume would have been developed by now. Get down into the area of Gapshan and Chongtash. From Gapshan, it goes direct towards DBO, through Chongtash and down via Murgo and on to Sultan Chisku. Service the things this way. So it's not that big a worry point. The segmentation of the battlefield is definitely feasible. They will attempt to do it, but it is not something that our posts will become unmaintainable. No.
What do you feel, General Sudhakar ji? If in a full-fledged combat localized will, if from both SSN will fall like a ripe fruit, sir. I mean, We know
No,
that's
no,
how
no.
vulnerable.
It's not gone are the days. In fact, I compliment Brigadier Dhillon for a photogenic memory. I don't know how many years long back he would have done patrolling, but he remembers names of places like as if it happened yesterday. Chongtash and Sasela and coming to Sasoma, that road is developed. We had been held up because of there is a glaciated pass at Sasela, but we have got the latest technology. That bridge also is coming up. And across that towards Dibio side, towards Chongtash, there is a road which is connected. I mean, you name a thing, it is done. In my time, we found it so hard to push the tanks into the DBO area or Depsang area. Now tanks are there in good number, as many as the Chinese can think of. Maybe it is higher than the Chinese, maybe. Okay,
We had a brigade, sir. We had a brigade of armor in the last year.
for the security reasons, we will not quantify that, but we are in a very healthy state. Chinese, they think they are 7.5 feet tall. They need just blow the city मार के उनको उड़ा सकते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है. I was sharing with you in my command tenure. I said mustache diplomacy. They don't require a weapon. They don't require a danda. They don't require foul language. They don't require any patthar. Just every soldier in the division will grow. सरदारों की तरह मुझे grow करो. बस. That's it. So the IIT people had called me for a talk.
I am the devil's advocate here vis-a-vis you to mere Gustaki Maaf, sir. If they start using their precision guided missiles, PGMs, where they outnumber us by far, as you know, sir, इसमें क्या बोलने का है, with their PGMs. सर तब तो वो तो मुझ दिखेगी नहीं PGM को सर. So एक PGM गिरा देगा, that's it.
Dear, anyway, what Brigadier Dhillon said, I must compliment. But to answer your query, you see, the perspective of this sector has to be understood predominantly from geography angle. The geography is such, from PP14 towards other side, he was saying that there is a different approach. To come to DBO or Depsang, there is an approach from Sasela. To go to the old Galwan or the Gogra and PP17 Alpha across Mars Mekla, again there are multiple approaches. One approach is Lukong, that is the southwestern portion of Pangong Sole, and the road takes you across Mars Mekla through Soksalu into the valley. There is another approach which Chinese had tried unsuccessfully in 1962. It is the Changchenmo Nala, which comes from this hot spring area.
Yeah.
It's a river, perennial river. It comes and joins with Shyok River at kilometer 56. This is an approach which Chinese had unsuccessfully tried, but they pitted off because they came to an area which is filled with gorges. They could not negotiate the gorges. It was very severe winter. They couldn't walk ahead. It was covered with snow. So this is one approach to go into that sector. India should look at it in developing tracks, improving connectivity. Second point that I wish to share with you is even Galwan Nala, we are already there, PP14. Now the question which you asked, why are they so sensitive? They are sensitive because this road was non-existent earlier, Blacktop Road. In good old days when Brigadier Dhillon would have done patrolling, I have read only, I was not there. I have read from script, it says, some of the old manuscripts they say in 3D, that patrols have taken something close to 21 days to move from Tangse to Durbuk and पैदल जाते थे, गाड़ी नहीं था उस समय, to reach up to DBO 20, क्योंकि एक्लेमेटाइजेशन होता था. फर्स्ट स्टेज तो आपने नीचे कर लिया है कारों में, फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड स्टेज. उसके बाद रोक के जाते थे. 21 days may be an exaggeration. I would put it at 12 to 14 days. That also used to be a very long time. आजकल आप लाइट वेडी में बैठो, दुर्बुक से 12 घंटे में पहुंचते हो जाते. This road is giving a direct threat to nothing but Aksai Chin. Why is he worried about Aksai Chin? What is there in Aksai Chin? Except for the G219, this PP10, 11, 12. Why is he so sensitive to PP10, 11, 12? Because it is taking us close to G219, his Western Highway. He's scared, he's worried. This road up to DBO, if we connect it to, which has already been done, Karakoram Pass, it is again he's threatening, he has got Kashgar, it is taking this thing to Yarkand and all these places. joining with CPEC. All these areas are getting threatened. Also, in Aksai Chin, there are some glaciers. Somebody has carried out a survey. He is given a rough figure of 257. Again, I take it as exaggeration. 257 glaciers in this area. And before that, he had got that early 1963 agreement cessation of that patch, which has gone to. He said 267 glaciers are available there. China is starving of water. All his semiconductor industry is gradually shifting towards Xinjiang province. It is a power and water intensive industry. It does not, all its sources of water are towards the Tibetan plateau, to the southern China. Okay, and the river, the flow of the water is towards the south. It has started diverting this water to the north. China is looking at Shyok and Nubra Valley. For what? Not for land. It is looking for water. It wants to divert this water to Xinjiang province, should the opportunity come its way, and supplement the existing availability of water in Xinjiang province. This is the larger game, which generally doesn't catch the attention of the common.
We must do a separate program in its own right on the grand design which China has in South Asia. It merits a separate program, I'm sure, sir, where next day we will talk about what we can expect in future. We have been talking tactically now. Geostrategically, sir, I think that one video would not be able to do justice to that. So my request to both of you gentlemen is let us consider this as the first phase of our China episode, this particular video. Let us put our minds about what China is up to in the medium run, in the next 3 odd years, and then let's again get back. Do you think that's a good idea, sir?
Fantastic. That's good. That's good.
So, Brigadier Dhillon, sir, Major General Sudhakar ji, thanks a lot. What you two have achieved today will be appreciated by the entire country. आपने ऐसे मसले पे ऐसे आप इसमें सच्चाई बाहर ले आए हैं, which the nation was starved for and the nation was waiting for. I thank you on behalf of Sandy Wars, India Sentinels, and the rest of the country. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.